Hello there, I'm Scotty, and you're not. And for day 5 of Dis-Cember, we're looking at the Rocketeer. That's the Rocketeer. And, well, I did not expect this, but I actually really liked this movie. I enjoyed it from beginning to end. I thought this was really good. So, this is another one that I watched when I was a kid. Unlike Dick Tracy, where I only saw it once on TV, this I watched twice. Once when it came out on VHS back in '92, and then later in like 1998 or late '90s ish on The Wonderful World of Disney on ABC. That was it. And I don't know, I can't say for sure, but I think I liked it better the second time because I was a little bit older. It was '92, I would have been 5 years old. So maybe it was later than '92 when I first watched it, maybe '95 ish. Maybe I didn't get it, and then in '98 or whatever it came out, when it was on Wonderful to Disney, I was into it more. But and this is from Joe Johnston, who also gave us Captain America: The Civil War and Jumanji and Honey I Shrunk the Kids. Or actually, it's Captain America: The First Avenger. Excuse me, I don't know why. Captain America: The First Avenger, Honey I Shrunk the Kids, Jumanji. Two of those are some of my favorite childhood movies. And Captain America: The First Avenger is a decent Marvel movie. I don't think, compared to the other two great Captain America movies, dang. But, uh, yeah. So the story here is Cliff, played by Ben Campbell, is a plane pilot, and he and his friend Peavy, played wonderfully by Alan Arkin, find this rocket pack that was dropped in his car, or his plane, whatever it was. And so one day they're at the plane races or whatever they are. Their friend's plane starts getting out of control, so he puts on the rocket pack, becomes the Rocketeer, and saves the day. Meanwhile, evil actor guy James Bond, his real name is Neville Sinclair, played by Timothy Dalton, has was the one who stole the rocket pack and wants to use it because he's secretly a Nazi. Yeah. And so he kidnaps Cliff's girlfriend, Jenny, played by Jennifer Connelly. What a stretch for that name, right? And so Cliff must go and save the day. Surprisingly, there's not a lot of hero stuff. Like, I don't think he actually becomes the Rocketeer until about half hour, 45 minutes in, because it's really kind of just building up to that moment. And then even then, it's not like he's going around saving people. This is not like he's a superhero right away and he saves people. No, he flies it a few times, but he doesn't, like, he flies it before the 45 mark, but that's when he saves his friend's plane. And yeah, there's a lot of, much like with Dick Tracy, there's a lot of actors in this that recognize, like Paul Sorvino, excuse me, Paul Sorvino, John Polito, Timothy Dalton, Clint Howard has a cameo, Alan Arkin, Jennifer Connelly. I think Laura Hardin has a cameo in this as the lounge singer. I forget, it's Eddie Kay, I think is his name. He played Jonathan Kent in Lois and Clark: Who Adventures of Superman. Yeah, there's a lot of actors that show up in this, and I don't know the actress's name, but the person who, I don't know if she's like a house mother. I think Jenny's supposed to be in college. Jennifer Connelly was 20 years old at the time, so and she and Billy Campbell actually dated for a little while after Scream, but split up in 1995. But this was something Joe Johnston wanted an unknown to play the character of Cliff Secord. Yeah, that's a name, aka the Rocketeer. Johnson was a fan of the comics, He wanted an unknown. Disney wanted a big star. Well, their villain is a big star, Timothy Dalton. But yeah. So they got Billy Campbell to play the role, and I think he's perfect for this. I think he's really good in the role, and I think he does a great job. He didn't know anything about the comics, so he read the comics beforehand. Many actors will just go into a role not knowing what the comic entails and just play the role just to make money. This shows that he really cared about the role. You get a big time actor, they wouldn't do that. They'd be like, nah, I can do this. Some do go the extra mile, but. And you have Timothy Dalton playing Neville Sinclair, the bad guy of this film. And I love the contrast of his real role and his acting role. His acting role as an actor, he's known for being his swashbuckling Errol Flynn type, who's a hero in all of his movies. But in real life, he's a secret Nazi and he's a bad guy and he wants to start a invasion of the Nazis on America. This takes place in 1938, which I know Nazis were around, but I don't know. If he had succeeded, World War II would have happened earlier. A little change in human history, but And I thought Jennifer Connelly was actually pretty good too. Well, I should mention Timothy Dalton is great as the villain, by the way. Jennifer Connelly was good in this too. And which is surprising because the other two roles I've seen her in are Betty Ross in Hulk and the main character in Labyrinth. Both roles of which she's not really trying. But here, she's great. I don't know if she ended up winning an Academy Awards down the line, but she's great here. And then you have Alan Arkin as Peavy, which is a weird name. Peabody, whatever. And he's great as a side character. I think he's one of the best things in this. He's a funny side character. He just wants to return the jetpack to the FBI, but Cliff wants to use it to save the day. He's like, "No, we gotta take it back. We gotta take it back. It's not ours. It's theirs. We gotta take it back." And then you have Howard Hughes, the ace plane pilot, plane maker, played by Terry O'Quinn. And this is a weird scene that starts because you have Terry O'Quinn as Howard Hughes. And I'm going, no, that's the stepfather. Don't believe him. He'll kill your wife after sleeping with her. And then he'll kill your children. He's the stepfather. And there's this guy that looks like Gerald Ford. So it's like Gerald Ford is talking. It's not really Gerald Ford. It's not even, the character's not even Gerald Ford. Gerald Ford's talking to the stepfather. And then we cut to James Bond, who's the villain of this movie. It's very weird. It's very weird. But, no. The guy did look like Gerald Ford, in my opinion, but he wasn't. But, yeah. And if there's one thing I can criticize, it's the green screen. Okay, this technique. They do green screening. Some of the stunt stuff looks alright, but then when they use the models and the stop motion, it's a little iffy. But for the most part, I think some of the visual effects are good, but then there's sometimes you say some of the green screen just doesn't look, or it's a backlit, whatever, it just doesn't look right. It's that uncanny valley type thing. I also feel like the subplot with Jenny getting kidnapped is just so matter of fact. Like, she's already on a date. Like, okay, so how this happens is Cliff goes to tell Jenny about the rocket back, and she's an extra on a movie after telling Cliff that she's got this part where she says one line. That part's been given to the niece of the owner of the company or whatever, and it's like, well, wait, don't you think that don't you think the niece of the owner would get like be given like this the female starring role and not a role with just one line? I don't know, but they're playing the whole Hollywood card like, oh, she said she got the part, and then no, the niece wants the part, so she gets it, that sort of thing. But Cliff shows up, he knocks over one of the sets, and when he's there, he tells Jenny about the rocket pack, which Sinclair hears him, and immediately he's like, okay, I'm going to use her to get to him and all that stuff. And yeah, and then Cliff figures out that Sinclair is sort of in on it. At this point, he knows that the mob is after him, but I don't think he knows that Sinclair isn't on it. But then we realize he does when he kidnaps her using chloroform. Yeah, he just put plant juice on her face. No, chloroform to kidnap her. And it's like, okay, so he's gonna use her as bait. Maybe he's like gonna have her change and stuff. I don't know. It's like it's a means to an end for him to save the day, but I feel like perhaps she didn't need to get kidnapped and they could get out of there together, only for the mob to catch them and deliver her to Jenny and tell him, hey, you relieve Jenny to Sinclair and be like, hey, go get the rocket pack or I kill her. You know, something like that. Like, she didn't need to be, like, her running away with him would make her a more straightforward female character as opposed to just being horror-filled and kidnapped. And yes, this was the 90s. They weren't into that yet. They didn't have strong female characters. But her, maybe when he tries to kidnap her and she stomps on his foot, smacks him in the face or something and runs off with Cliff, only to eventually get stopped by the whole mob who have guns. Would have made more sense. Like, she's a strong female character, but guns, yeah, that would stop even the strongest of female characters, I think. Well, as strong and normal strong characters would be. But I'm just thinking, you know, the whole thing. I also think that the FBI not helping him stop Sinclair is a little contrived, where, like, well, he has to save her on his own. Like, he tries to tell him what's going on, and the FBI just don't believe him. They're like, nope. Because, like, and they need someone, there's some actor, and he's like, it's Sinclair. And they're like, nah. And, you know, he tries to tell him. Howard Hughes is the only one that believes him because of Peavy. He's like, nah, not Sinclair. He's the hero in those movies. Nah. And it's just like, so he has to go off on his own. He has to steal this weird plane thing and then use the rocket to save him on this Zeppelin, blimp, what are you going to call it? And there's this big, talk about Dick Tracy, there's this big henchman guy who has like face morph mask thing that reminds me of the makeup effects in Dick Tracy. But yeah, and then he saves the day, of course, and then that's a pretty good scene. But again, how Sinclair goes out was heavily foreshadowed, because during the bar scene, the Rocket is hit with a gun. I don't know how, because it was up there, but it was gunshot. And so they had to put this gum, this good luck gum that they use before, on it. And so it's leaking, but he puts it on there and is able to, but it's still leaked out. So it's still being engulfed in flames, but nope, because they plugged it, it's not. And because then later Sinclair does it, it's leaking out, and he flies up, and he gets engulfed in flames and dies. And then Jenny, Cliff, and the henchman guy are on the blimp. The henchman guy is like shackled to the thing, and the other two are able to be saved by Howard Hughes and Peavy. And in the end, Hughes gives Cliff an honorary plane for him to fly in the plane races, and they set up where they're going to rebuild the rocket pack for a sequel that never happened. I guess they had signed on for a trilogy, but this movie didn't do that good, which is a shame, because I think it's an underrated Disney film. At least an underrated live action one. So I actually think this was pretty good. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. I actually really enjoyed it, you know. But yes. So what are your thoughts on the Rocketeer? Let me know. Comment so much. Your likes, share, and subscribe. Hold on, I gotta cross this off. So that's okay. So when I did this, I did the first 5. I picked up off the first 5, and then I got all the thumbnails. So I'm going to have to do the next 5 thumbnails. Next, we're looking at a Disney film, with as an animated film, excuse me, that is probably one of, if not the only, Disney princess film that I can actually say I really like. Like, I generally, like, there's other ones out there that are just like, okay, girly stuff, but this is actually one that I don't mind owning, don't mind watching every once in a while, you know. But, yeah, until then, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.